get into some. Completely forgot to start that, so Chris, your story was not recorded. Does anybody have any specific questions or anything that you got going on in the business that you want maybe some guidance or some help on? Before
I'll just give you a quick intro. So I'm here working with Michael Hamilton. So he's my partner. And, I spent 25 years in California. My wife and I ran a brokerage company. So did a lot of buying and selling of real estate, not so much investing, did some investing, but, my focus was on the brokerage. And then we left California in 2017. We moved down to Georgia. And we were kind of moving on to our second stage of life. And then we got a call from our in-laws. And so now we're in Tennessee taking care of the in-laws. So now it's a different ball game. And it's like we moved here. So we're looking for some things to do online. So, I thought, well, I can get back into real estate investing. The only thing is I don't really know Tennessee. Being new here. So I do have a partner here in Tennessee. I ran into him and I ran into Michael because I've been doing some online customer service for some real estate investor training companies. So, because I have all the knowledge, so I've been able to do great customer service and I ran into these guys. So that's what I'm here. I'm just getting back into it. It's changed a little, but it still comes down to it's doing deals with people. So I'm doing the marketing for these guys because a lot of times the weakness is the technical on their end, whether it's trying to get a spreadsheet to do something for them or a new program. And so I always did my own marketing and I always did all the tech work for my company. So I enjoy doing that. So that's what I'm here. I'm looking forward to getting back into this and just crushing it.
I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
And while Shawn was saying all that, I don't know what you said that made me think of it again, but Jacob, I remember what I was going to ask. It wasn't asking you. It was asking everybody else. How many of you guys saw the Loom video I posted? What was this? About 6 days ago now in the Facebook group, Loom video breaking down one of our clients' Google Analytics. And the incredible data that this particular client is seeing. Anybody see that? Then I'm going to continue what I'm doing here. I'm going to tag those of you guys that are on this call on that post. And I highly suggest you go look at it.
I did see the post. I didn't watch it yet. I literally just got access to Facebook community today. So, yep.
Yeah, it depends when the team's looking at that tab and make sure that it's an actual person that we want in there. So I'm tagging you guys. I just tagged you guys in that post. I would highly encourage you guys to go watch that video. And in the video, I had it blurred out just for privacy's sake. But since this is a small intimate group, I'll let the cat out of the bag. There's a reason why I say Jacob isn't bragging, that he's just doing what he does. Those of you guys that have known Jordan and Jacob, they slay deals like crazy. And they've always said it, right? 95, 96, 97% of the opportunities that they get is coming from their website. That screen share that I did breaking down the analytics is building Appalachia's data. Over the course, I forget what the date range was that I did. I think I did like the last 28 days is what I broke down in there. And it goes without saying, like these guys, they early on, they were on these calls all the time. They listen, they take action, they implement, they operate from a done is better than perfect mindset all the time, right? Jordan and big goofball, Jacob, big goofball, but at the end of the day, they get their shit done. And it shows because they're always got opportunities and they're getting, a ton of traffic coming through their website. They are positioned very, very well in their marketplace digitally. And they're out there on the streets and they're out there doing the other stuff that continues to draw the attention. So great example. I'd encourage you guys to go watch that that Loom video just to kind of see, when we're looking at the analytics and the traffic and how do I decipher some of this stuff. I broke it all down in that video. I think it's about 10 or 12 minutes long, but it's a good 10 or 12 minute watch for you guys. Okay. Now, with that being said, I was on a call earlier today with Chris and Sal, talking a little bit about their campaigns, some of the stuff that we're running for them, and then kind of like next steps, where should they go? And it kind of led us into this topic. They are one of our pretty high-end active Leadvault users. They're running a number of different campaigns inside of Leadvault, and there was two different campaigns that we were looking at. I asked if they minded if I would share the screen and break down what I see that they're doing currently, and what were some of the big things that I caught in, I don't know what it was, Chris, Sal, what, 5-10 minutes of looking at it, to help with some improvement and kind of like some next steps behind it. So I'm curious, does that sound like a good use of your guys' time, or should we talk about something else? Because it might be interesting to one of you guys, but maybe
No,
not.
that's exactly what I'm tuned in right now.
Got it. And I saw Kurt give a thumbs up, so cool. And Shawn, I know Mike, when he fired this thing up, he fired it up on the basic plan. So what I'm going to show you, what I'm going to be showing on this is actually if you had the fully advanced plan with the automated builder and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, I went through all the training, so I've got it, and we'll be hooking it up soon. He just wanted to start off just getting it all, just a basic setup. So I take him to super speed.
I think I've been coaching Mike for 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
I always joke with him. He goes the cheap route first.
Yep. Plus now he's got somebody that can take care of all his tech stuff. So
that is true.
Yeah.
Guy used to operate just from a cell phone. Dominique, welcome to the call. Somebody give me a thumbs up. You guys can see Leadvault, right? You should see workflow list. All right, cool. I'm obviously not in the studio. I'm in my main office today, so operating on a different setup for this call. So the first one that we looked at was this workflow right here that they had built. This, and Chris, or Sal, chime in if I'm not explaining it correctly. But this is really a 12-part video series that they wanted to kind of drip in to placement agents. So you guys get a list, or you guys meet different placement agents on a consistent basis, right? The theory of this idea was, hey, placement agents, they provide leads for us. They provide people that need to move into senior transition centers, or senior facilities, and that's the type of homes that they like to buy. So, hey, let me nurture the placement agent and get them to better understand who's Chris, who's Sal, who's Ohana Legacy, right? We all tracking what the theory was behind this. And they wanted to do it in a drip format so that it wasn't like, bam, overwhelm. And it slowly kind of told the story and warmed this person up. So when they built this out, like you can see, there's a series of different tasks, from emails to text to voice drops to video link emails, messages, this type of stuff. And then they also have some different internal notifications built in to ping them. And, Chris is probably the big gorilla, writing a letter, licking it, stamping it, and putting it in the mailbox or something like that while he eats banana. But basically, this thing was built to, over the series of, what is it actually 8 weeks? Or when we added this up, I think it was more, right?
It's actually 90 days now, a little bit over 90 days.
Okay. So you can see they've got it worked out pretty far, and their biggest group of people, 58 of them, are kind of sitting just before the 7th video. There's 12 videos in this entire series that they're going to put out to them. They've got a big group getting ready to fall into this next set of steps. So the one thing that I was talking to them about ties into, and I'm not going to go into the training on it because it ties into the webinar that I'm going to be doing on the 24th during this normal call time. You guys will be getting some information probably by the end of this week on that. But the first thing that I noticed was they're manually fulfilling on the direct mail piece. And right away they said, yeah, it works because, as you can see, there was a batch of 5. It's not like there was a ton. But we all know that, life, business, shit gets in the way at times. And, Chris, do you get these out immediately when the notification comes every time? All right, is it a day or two beyond it? Could it slip through the crack?
Yeah, it slips through the cracks sometimes. Sometimes it's about a week, sometimes it's a day. So it's very inconsistent is the problem.
Yeah, so it's been working, right? They were asking like, hey, we got a little bit more money that we can invest in the marketing now. We've got some more deals under our belts. We built up a nest egg. We've stashed some aside for marketing. Basically, they were saying, hey, what's next? You know, what else can I bring into the mix? And we're going to be doing a webinar on the 24th. That's going to be introducing or kind of reintroducing to some of you guys a pretty significant platform. Jacob, you guys are already on that platform over with Dope, with the direct mail automation side of things. This was an example that I showed Chris and Sal, like stop fulfilling this manually, push this in to it, right? But then as we started to look a little bit deeper, big thing in this campaign that I noticed right out of the gate is when somebody gets added to this, yes, they're getting hit with an SMS and then they're in a wait step. And I think this wait step, okay, so a week almost goes by before the next SMS with the first video. So basically, think about this. If I just met this placement agent, they vaguely kind of know who I am. I'm using this to kind of nurture them from that spot. I get back to my office, I load their information in, I dump them into this workflow, they get a text message from me, and then they don't hear from me for another week. You see where we could have a little bit of a, by the time this second text comes out, who the hell is this again? Mentality, right? So a suggestion that I had to them was front load early on. Look at that first 7, 10, 14 days as the most crucial time. To don't overwhelm, but front load a little bit more information, maybe a little faster frequency. And in any of you guys, you can just export placement agent and import whoever your avatar is. Prospective seller, right? Dominique, potential, management client, if that's who we're going after, whatever it might be, right? Potential lender. I don't care who the avatar is. The theory still stays the same. Front loaded a little bit. I just met this person or I just got their information. I want to kind of get some information moving pretty quickly to them. If we're playing the game of multimedia, text, phone calls, emails, postcards, handwritten notes, these type of things. We're going to play from all different angles because we know that works. Notice the second problem that I caught. This is a 6-day wait. This is a 7-day wait before that first piece of mail was even going to get sent, right? We're at 2 weeks from the time that we met them before something gets in their mailbox. Is there a pretty good likelihood that they're going to look at this and be like, I don't even remember what this is. Why is this person sending it to me, right?
Because they already sold it.
Well, in their mind, I mean, we're talking 2 weeks, right? And again, to Jacob's point, this is a placement agent. By the time we're sending this, they could already have, maybe had an opportunity for us. And because we didn't do a good job nurturing them early on, building a fast relationship with them, right? Getting some of the ideal information that they absolutely need up front, and then continue to tell a story and build the longer term relationship, right? Why did I call the book Marketing is Like Dating? Chris, when you went on your first date with your now wife, did you guys talk about the frivolous stuff or did you talk about the important things?
Frivolous. Yeah.
The first date, right?
You also didn't wait to call her.
You got cut off, but we eventually, right, as we moved into our next date and our next date, the frequency starts to pick up a little bit, right? We didn't take forever to get from first date to second date because if it's going to go somewhere, right, I can't ignore. I think that's what Jacob was trying to say. You also didn't wait, 14 days to call her again.
Yeah, right. Somebody called me.
So the theory, right, of dating is the same as the theory of marketing. Early on, I can't hit them with the juicy stuff right out of the gate, but I also can't just be so talking about nonchalant stuff that really doesn't impact the relationship because I won't get to date 2 or 3 or 4 if it's not intriguing, right? If I'm not striking the right interest levels. Does that make sense? Everybody just give me kind of a quick thumbs up there. So early, we want to make sure that we get that out. So the suggestion I gave them was like immediately, boom, I'd be hitting them with a piece of mail of some sort is going out. Even if it's just a handwritten letter that says, hey, it was great meeting you the other day. Look forward to getting to know you. Look forward to seeing how we can maybe do business together in the near future. something that just boom, gets there, right? Followed up with maybe a text and maybe an email, right? We can hit them all on all the channels right out of the gate. And then start to get into this sequence a little bit more frequently now, not 6 days from now, maybe 2 days from now. We hit them with maybe the first video and an explanation of what we're going to be sending them over the course of the next whatever, right? We put this together and here's why it's important to you. Here's the first one. And start getting the frequency of these videos and make sure we didn't go this deep, but Sal, Chris, write this down. I would look at the order of the videos that you put out and make sure, do we have video 1, 2, 3, 4 in the right order where it's, within 2 or 3 videos, they've got the bulk of the knowledge and the information that we want them to know. And then we can continue to, go deeper into it. But that way, if somebody only paid attention to maybe those first couple messages, the first couple touches that hit them, they've at least got the bulk of it. This is making sense so far, yes?
Are they shooting website videos or YouTube videos?
So these are going to the place that you've got this video.
It's a custom thank you page but we upload them to YouTube. It's a backlink to YouTube.
Gotcha. You've embedded them on your website.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Is it live on your, or do we got to go to the?
Only they can see it. Only those placement agents, because we don't want that. We just want it
Yeah.
specifically for them.
You remember what it is?
I do not.
All right.
I could pull it up.
No, it's in your
Did
custom.
you see it in that message right there on that link?
It's in your custom value.
Yeah, the custom. He's 3 or 4, I think. Okay. Here we go.
Placement agent,
And these are like your follow-ups, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I think it just changes to, agent dash whatever. Okay. Go back to that workflow. So you can see in the video message that goes out, right, it's just a quick, hey, their first name, blah, 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 and then there's the link to it, right? And if they were to click that link, it takes them to this page with the video on it and the information based on where they're at, right? This is video 1. You guys got this for all the different, take me to video 2, right? So on and so forth.
And we learned all this from a previous session with Shawn, actually, on one of these calls, about how you could set this up. I mean, obviously we needed help, but the premise of it was all from a meeting like this.
So the next part that I started to look at, and I actually think we were looking at the other workflow when this topic came up, was looking at the individual statistics for each phase, right? So if we start back here at the beginning, the very first message that went out, they have a link in here, right? Taking them to the About Us page. In there, it's kind of a basic message. And we can see 0% of the people that have hit this have actually clicked. They did have a little bit of a deliverability issue right here. 20% actually failed, which 20% in what's gone in there is actually during this date range is one person. And it was just undeliverable. So either that phone number wasn't an SMS capable phone number, it was shut off, whatever the case, right?
It was
This
an
one
office
here.
line. We found out it was an office line.
And that would do it, right?
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
deliverability, 95.16 deliverability, but we're noticing a trend here. Text message, they're not clicking the link, right? So far. So in here, now we're at video number 2 at this point. Way better deliverability, because when things fail, they stop trying to send, right? We're starting to narrow in on the right phone numbers that are going out. But what are we noticing the trend is here?
No one's clicking.
But he's clicking on the text messages, right? But let's take a look at the emails. This email goes out. It's taking them to that same video, right? Because we're hitting them with text and email on there. Little bit of an issue on the deliverability, and that's going to lead me to my next point. And I gave them a little bit of a tip here. Decent on the open rate. I'll give you guys a little bit of an insight. We're playing the cold email open, like cold email aspects. You meet somebody and then start sending them stuff that's still cold. In my opinion, because I, bump into a guy named Shawn and we have this cool, we're both Shawns, we both spelled the same way when we leave the event. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's a warm audience to me, right? I start hitting him with some emails. I'm trying to get him to open these things. It's still a cold attack, right? 25 to 30%, you're doing pretty decent. So the fact that we're at almost 40% on a 78% deliverability, pretty good. But what do we notice? In the email, we're starting to get some what?
Right.
We're starting to get some clicks, right? We're even getting some replies. Now, who knows if these replies are go away, get away from me. You were annoying. I didn't even mean to give you my info. Tell me your son's number. He was pretty cute. It could be those type of messages.
Actually, to give credit to the system, Shawn, the responses, a lot of these responses were, hey, thanks for letting me know. And, oh, I remember you and stuff like that. So credit, because it was individually named to that person. So I thought that the personal approach that we set up worked out very well.
Now, where I saw the issue, does anybody know why this is an issue? A 21.9% bounce rate. Anybody tell me what might cause an issue there?
Non-interest,
On the email or text?
This is an email.
too long.
Too many sent at one time.
Waiting for Dominique. I know she sends emails. Do you have any idea why a 21% bounce rate would be an alarm to look at from a data standpoint?
Well, some people might be giving you the wrong email, or you're sending too many at one time and they're getting rejected.
It could be too many at one time, but they're sending small batches. It's not like I'm seeing thousands at these stages, right? Where I would say, okay, are we dripping these people in? That kind of thing.
Either that or somebody's bad at typing and there's a lot of typos.
There could be typos, right? And that was actually the first thing I said to Chris and Sal was you might want to double check the emails and make sure you're getting accurate emails. It could be depending on how I don't know if you got a business card and you're typing it in, you have a mistype that could cause, a deliverability issue. It also could be nothing on your end, and it could be 100% on their end. They are terrible with their email system, and they have a bunch of problems over on that side, and you get a couple bounces and it'll shut down on there. But one thing that I do know that we have control over that helps control the bounce when you're sending from a third-party software, which when you're on Leadvault and you're firing emails, you are sending from our email server, right? If I go to Google, open up my Gmail and I shoot an email from there, it's actually firing from Gmail's and Google's email server, right? Leadvault, we have our own email server built in to fire those off. Just like you need a cell phone carrier to make a phone call and send a text, to send emails, you need an email carrier. Does that make sense, everybody? So the system is actually built where it's coming, right? We get it, and this is deep into email type stuff. You're sending one email here and there, probably not a big deal. You start sending cold email or blast emails, we need to pay attention to this. And the thing that I noticed, they're trying to say that this is coming from Ohana Legacy Properties at gmail.com, yet this is firing from a server that has a domain of mg.leadvaultcrm.com. And one way to really help your deliverability and getting into inboxes, and as more and more has tightened up in the email space to try to control spam, one way to make sure that that's happening is to try to make sure the from address matches the deep data, behind the scenes kind of stuff from the actual server. So what I told Chris and Sal is this needs to change to be Ohana Legacy Properties at mg.leadvaultcrm.com. And instead of doing it in every one of the emails that they build, one of the functions that you have access to is in settings. We can put it right here, and we could put the from name right here, and we never have to touch it again for this entire workflow. We built an email. All we need to do is subject line body, because the from and the from email address would stay consistent across the whole board. So in
And
there
then
one,
it'll still come back to us when they reply.
and I will show you where that's at inside of Leadvault here in a second. But what we're doing is making sure that this is crm.com. Because when it delivers to them, it's going to then show, Sal and Chris. And if they expand it and look and see like who was the sender of this, it's going to show HANA Legacy Properties at mg.leadvaultcrm.com. And then it's going to say reply to, and it's going to have the email address that they want them replying to. And there's another space in here where you set that setting that if they were to reply to that, it's actually going to reply to the other email, but we're matching now the sender from it. But the deeper piece to take from this is you guys aren't looking at data. You're not letting data dictate your next moves and how to improve things. It's kind of like flying a plane blind. Pilots have instruments all over the place around them. There's an importance to every single one of those pieces of instrument gear. Just like as a business and as a marketer, data, right? Data is our coordinate driver. Data is the thing that tells us what levers to pull. Data is what tells us what needs to be adjusted, what's working, what's not working.
I gotta tell you, if Shawn didn't do this, we would have never found that.
And you guys aren't the only ones.
Yeah.
I showed you guys on our call, I opened up Allure Homes and I was showing you some of their stuff.
Right.
And I noticed the exact same thing. Jake had been pouring a lot of people into a campaign, but I noticed his bounce rate was out of the roof. And it was because he was doing a lot more email than he used to do. And he didn't have some of the right things in there. So those are the big things that I noticed out of this campaign. This one and the same thing, they replicated it over here. We're on page 2. It's this one right here, right? The multi-tactic.
Yeah. Yes.
This one is where they're attacking their probate leads. Same thing, right? SMS, email, SMS, and then we finally got into that first piece of direct mail, and it's a total of 3. I think we did this. It was like 8 days already. It's like 11 days before the first piece of mail even went into the mailbox to get mailed to them. So add another couple days for deliverability. You see how all of a sudden we're like 14 days from the time we started to do anything before anything gets in their hand. And when we're sending, large 6x9 postcards that are highly branded out, look like our websites, right? Eye-catching. And I've got this hitting them at the same time that messages are hitting them and not waiting forever for this to finally get up there. Now we're starting to tie brand and message and that kind of stuff together. To make a little bit more sense.
Mhm.
And then this campaign had a lot of the same stuff. We cleaned up the email. Like you see here, I got rid of it, but it's over here on this part. Now, this campaign going after your probates, Chris, I didn't talk about this earlier, but I just saw it. You have the stop on response turned on. This campaign, I think that makes sense, right? Because it's probate opportunities, it's probate sellers that we're trying to get in front of. If they reply to one of these messages, I got them in conversation. I don't need to have automation anymore. I'm working this thing now, right? However, and I didn't check this on your other one.
Oh, that's a good point for the other one.
So you have it off, which is good for this one. Here's why, the difference. This is more of a nurture. I want all of this stuff to come out to that placement agent, even though they replied and said, hey, I remember you guys, thanks for sending this over. You could still reply back to them, but you still know that this thing's still working in the background, right? Why? Because I always want to, for this type of audience, I want to stay top of mind to that placement agent because I never know when they're going to be on an appointment and need to think of me, not the other person. That make sense? So certain campaigns, I like turning the stop on response on. Other campaigns, I like leaving it off because it makes more sense for it to stay off, right? Those of you guys that have been around a while, you've gotten one of my webinar invites. It's a workflow just like this. It's built. I dump you guys into it. And from the time I put you into it, all the way up to 3 hours after the webinar, it's all automated, I get all kind of random replies. Sal tells me 5 times that he's going to be there because he gets the text message and he replies to the text message. Tony sends me messages, emails back. Thanks, sounds good. This kind of stuff, right? If I had the stop on response on, you'd quit getting all the reminders at that point. So I want to make sure that it doesn't stop on response in a situation like that. So for you, think of it that way. Is this a campaign that I don't want the messages to stop if they reply? But is this one a campaign that I do want it to stop because it makes more sense for them? Everybody good with that? Now, real quick, and then I'm going to open it up to some questions here. Dominique, you were asking when they reply, it can get back to us. So if you come here in your settings to email services, you can see right here, this is the Mailgun server. This is the domain that it's at, in case you guys forget what I said, mg.leadvaultcrm.com. We want whatever it is at mg.leadvaultcrm.com. Here's where you want to put this in. And Chris, Sal, you guys are going to have to go in there and you want to put a forwarding email in here, and you can put a reply address in here as well. Okay. This way, when they reply, you're not only getting it in your conversation hub right here, right? All these different messages. You're also, or at the contact level, where I can see, hey, one more email on this thread, and I can see that you guys replied back to this. They had actually replied, my pleasure, to that email that you sent them, right? But you'd also have it in your Gmail, Outlook, whatever the case. It was. Good with that? Thoughts, comments, questions? Anybody got anything?
Can you reply within Leadvault to keep it all in one place?
100%. So go back to this person here. And right, there's that there. I could
Okay.
go right here, email. Now, I'm logged in as them, so if I were to reply, this is what they're going to see coming back for me. Chris was logged in, it's pulling in his user information, that kind of thing. But yes, you can reply right from here. There's no phone number in on this contact record, so there's no option to text. If there was a phone number, this guy's got no phone number. This person does. Notice here, there's SMS or email capability right from here. The other thing is, you don't know me, I will show you guys real quick. Let's see, you guys got 2,531 records in here, right? And let's say I wanted all 2,500 of these records going into that particular workflow. Back to, I think Dominique mentioned it, a couple other people mentioned it, maybe you're sending too many at one time, and that's what's causing some bounces or some issues to it. Anytime we take a bunch of contacts and we want to dump them into a workflow, manually, we want to make sure that we're selecting this option right here. We want to drip them into it. Okay. You'd have to name your action. You pick when do you want this thing to start, whatever. We'll say at 4:42 today. Batch quantity. I want to do small batches, right? If I went to my Gmail and opened it up, I can't put 2,500 names in the to column of that email. It's just not going to let me do it, right? But I can easily do 20 or 25 emails. So maybe I even go more conservative. I have a campaign running right now. We've got like 15,000 names in our database. I'm dripping 2 to 3 contacts a day. Multiple times a day, but 2 to 3. And I got multiple different variations of this thing running into it, right? So you put your batch quantity, whatever it is, let's say it's 12, and then I tell it to repeat. And in something like this, I can have it repeat, every 8 minutes or something like that. And then obviously I can't make that all happen. I don't want emails going out at all weird hours, this type of stuff. So I can control the days. And I can also say, hey, I only want this to actually fire between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. or something like that. And if I were to hit add to campaign, it wouldn't let me because I didn't put certain information in. But once I had all that filled out, I hit add to campaign, it would then take these 2,500 names and put it into whatever workflow I'd selected up here in batch quantities of 8 or 12, and every 8 minutes it would dump another set of 12, and then another set of 12, and another set of 12. That make sense? So I don't know, Chris, if you guys were doing it that way, or if you're just getting, 2 or 3 at a time, so you're just firing them in there or something like that.
Yeah, we're getting about two to 5 at a time when we get their business cards on the STS side. But on the probate side of things, it's about 40 per week.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll go to 2 networking events on the placement agents. I'll probably gather 10 business cards, catch up with phone numbers that people didn't give me, because I got a list, I just kind of fill in information. So it's kind of ongoing.
So before you go tomorrow, I'd get some of this cleaned up for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you get it and you come back, if you've got, 8, 10 of them, dump two of them at a time into it, every couple minutes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I would get this cleaned up based on some of the changes that we suggested, if things need to move. And you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can actually take a section and move it. You don't have to delete it and rebuild it and,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yep.
If I were to say move action, it's gonna ask me, where do I want to move it to? If I want to move here, I just click right here and it moves it right to that spot. Anybody got questions, comments,
I do.
clarity? Go for it, Tony.
Here's a marketing thing for you. With that stuff that you showed, that Chris and Sal have. See, that doesn't show up till you get to like your 3rd marketing level, right?
What do you mean? I'm confused with your question.
In other words, you don't have some of those actions aren't available. You can't do those at a basic level.
You can't build automations in Leadvault unless you're at the professional level of Leadvault. If you're at our free basic level, if you're with REI Toolbox and you got your website and you've got the basic level attached to it, you can't do that. If you're paying for just the basic level of Leadvault, you can't build workflows like this. You have to be at the higher level of Leadvault for these to be able to be built. If that's what you're asking.
Yes. Okay, so that's
you need the
all that is workflow, and none of that can be built on the basic level.
correct. Yeah, this is the automation builder. Anybody else?
I got a question, Shawn.
Shoot.
I noticed there's a newer kind of like pop-up with the little crown on the side on the actions. Lead connector, I'm assuming LC. Premium actions. What? It's brand new. I've never seen it. It's like Google Sheets, Slack, custom web.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yep. These are premium actions. So if let's say you're using Google Sheets, for example, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a use case in a workflow right now for you guys. Let's say I wanted to take contacts information, and at a certain stage in it, I wanted to dump onto a Google Sheet that maybe somebody else is using for something else. It's not a great use case, but you get the theory, right? I can integrate that way. Same thing if I wanted to pull a certain element. We don't use Slack, we use Discord in our family, REI side. We used to use Slack. We got tired of paying the premium on it when we can get Discord at a much better rate. Free, for example. Discord, however, doesn't have an open API for us to manually tie in or build a premium on it. So what I have is through Zapier, I've got to work. Zapier is a thing that connects multiple platforms together. And there's certain workflows that I have where when you guys hit a stage or a milestone or something, it actually sends a message to one of our Discord channels. That's how this Slack integration works. Okay. So I can see in real estate at some point, maybe you guys are using Slack, you got a little bit of a team. Slack's more of an internal team communicating type platform, something like that. That could be a use case in there. Custom webhooks. This is actually here for when we start leveraging GOAT. We use a webhook, pushing information from Leadvault and then catching there's a catch hook on the other end in Dope that pulls all that information in so that the two softwares are basically talking together at that point, utilizing a webhook on there. And then you guys, there isn't much to use from a date time formatter and the number formatter over here. But there's been some updates in the premium side of things as far as premium level workflow integrations that we used to have to use Zapier for. We're getting away from some of those on this one.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I was wondering what those new fancy looking features were.
Yep. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Taylor, I noticed you joined the call. Welcome. How's the flip?
Hi, it's coming.
She's not on a roof today.
I'm not on a roof today, thank God.
All right. If nobody has any other questions, I'm good with ending a little early. Last call. Chris, Sal, did that help you guys a little bit more?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely,
Now we have
absolutely.
more shit to do. Thank you.
Yeah. But we're hoping it'll be interesting to see if the bounce rate changes from that slight change that you suggested. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I never in a million years would have guessed the domain.
No.
I wouldn't have kept that.
Yeah, the only thing is yeah, right here. Oh, this is your lead magnet inherited house one. Yeah, see, you've got, you don't have many people going through that. Let me look for the right one again.
Mhm.
What we'll have to do is you'll have to look at it from a changing a date range standpoint, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
To see how that looks.
Right.
I don't know how long you guys have been running this, but if I take this from like,
Mhm. Yeah.
you can see the 21.95, pretty much the lifetime of it. So once you start changing that up, get that cleaned up, and then you start dumping new people in, we start looking at from today forward, are we getting better with our bounce?
Right.
This is one I like to look at too. It doesn't show up in the front ends, but once you click and come into here, you're unsubscribed. Great.
Hmm.
So right now it's 2.4% over this time frame based on what's gone out, which equals one person.
How dare they? How could they?
They just gave you their info to get you away from them at the network.
Probably. Most likely.
Now, I don't get upset with unsubscribes. I know some people that do. I actually operate from the mindset of if you unsubscribed, it's because you probably didn't want the information anyway, so I don't want to waste my time trying to get it in front of you, right? So go ahead and unsubscribe. Actually, sometimes I'll run campaigns to see, I'll dump parts of our database into something to see if I can just purge more of them out. Just, do they finally text me stop so that I can stop wasting time sending them texts? That kind of thing.
So it's not like a placeholder more than anything.
Yep.
I've got a quick question on people that end in a campaign and they're just sitting there. I know we've got like 2,400 things, contacts, but a lot of that is probate stuff where they've already sold the house, they've completed everything, and we're probably never going to work with them again. Is there a point when we have to start cleaning this up, or we just leave it?
Jump out like what we saw earlier. These people here, they made it all the way to the end and nothing happened
Right.
with them. You got 700 names there.
Yeah.
Like I told you guys earlier, I would not be opposed in this case to clean this campaign up with the
Right.
changes that we talked about. The same thing. We want to get couple pieces of mail in front of them. We're going to get some voice drops in front of them. Right? We want to try to overwhelm them a little bit at the beginning because we're attacking potential sellers here.
Right.
Rerun those people through, but then yes, after I've got that cleaned up with a lot of those changes and I try to fix some of the problems that I had with this campaign, and I get to the end and I got another batch of 600 names down here. Then at that point, Sure, maybe dump them into, I don't know how long this one's completely built over. I think he's 90 days on this campaign or no?
Yeah, it's about 90 days.
So you can take these people and dump them into another workflow that maybe, every 30 days we send them one message just to see
Right.
if something
Gotcha.
changed and they all of a sudden pop with something.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm actually building a snapshot right now that kind of does that. It takes people through a normal campaign and then dumps them into a 180-day follow-up where there's like 4 or 5 follow-ups in 180 days. And then if they still don't answer, then it pushes them into a 365-day follow-up where, maybe once every 90 days or something, there's a follow-up behind it.
You could take that and ask for them to pass on the information to friends or something like that. I mean,
You could, but you can right from one workflow, tell it to add to another workflow.
right, okay.
So let's say I wanted to take all of those people and, I don't know, dump them into, whatever.
A referral campaign or.
Yeah, I didn't know if you
yeah.
had like a longer term.
We have a nurturing campaign that we have somewhere,
Anyway, you select whatever one you want, you hit save, and then when they hit to that step, right,
right,
it would just
Okay.
put them in that workflow now, and
right,
whatever that workflow is built to do, it would do that.
okay, gotcha, thank you.
I think you have this, yeah, there's a wait. I like to do this too, by the way. Change
Yep.
that, so it shows me right there, it's a 999-day wait. Cause I use this as a bucket at the end of the workflow so that they don't disappear. And if I ever wanted to build more onto this, I just add more steps and then force these guys out of it and delete that step. Cool.
Thank
All
you.
right, last chance. Nobody else?
Marie had said something about there was a section you could upload videos and stuff into. At what point do you have access to that?
You're talking about build more of like a membership?
Yeah.
As long as you're on the professional level, I might have to go in and turn your permissions on for it, that's all. As long as and I think you guys are, right? Are you using the free version with no workflow builder, or are you using the upgraded paid version?
Paid version.
Then all I got to do is go turn on your membership.
Okay.
And then you have the capability like a Teachable or Thinkific or Kajabi or any of the membership platforms that are out there. You have the ability to build. Those of you guys that are in Investor Harvest, that's the member portal that you guys log into where all the replays and stuff are. That's the membership side of things that we built it under.
Now, does that actually get built all within Leadvault then, or?
Let me change to Investor Harvest and I'll show you.
Because I'm getting ready to build out a program.
What's under memberships right here.
Yeah, I don't have that tag.
Products. You can see there's the Investor Harvest membership. And this is where we build it. We build the different sections, you build the different courses. If I wanted to change something in lesson 3, here's where I upload the video, here's where I put the description, I can add files, the photo, set it to published. You can customize based on some design styles, the way you want the portal to look. You put all your details in here.
And then I'm assuming you can run those under a separate email also.
What do you mean under a separate email?
Well, just like a separate reply email. It doesn't.
There's no
If
email.
I want,
This is a membership portal where they log in.
right, but when you send out the, oh no, they just log into, okay,
Yep.
got it.
But yeah, I just got to go in and turn on your. I could do that right now. Anybody else? Every time I ask, somebody always has a last minute question.